Okay, all right. Gonna put out a little welcome message. Okay. So as per usual, I will not be looking at the YouTube stream because it is slightly delayed and very distracting, but I will go back and see if there's any questions afterwards. Excuse me. Um, I also was just thinking about reading this chapter, and it's such a strange experience to read something that feels so personal. I absolutely did it with intention on purpose. I've told this story many, many times, but every time you do, it's just incredible how quickly it re evokes those feelings within you. Just today at the golf course, I bumped into a lovely, lovely friend of mine who I've been friends with for many, many years since I moved to this beautiful city. And she had mentioned reading the book and being halfway through it, and it's still like such a bizarre feeling to think of other people knowing some of your thoughts or experiences. Yeah, it's incredible. It's such a moving experience and getting their feedback firsthand. Also, I know that some people have been joining me, excuse me, through watching the replays. And I hope that you enjoy this. I hope for those of you who purchased the book that you're reading along with me. I love to, um, I've been part of book clubs where you actually read together, and it's such a very deep experience to be read to while you're following through the book and hear it in someone else's voice. Just an awesome experience. So, um, I do want to warn you though, if this is a subject that is difficult for you or triggering for you when it comes to any form of assault, physical, emotional, sexual assault, you may not want to read or be on while I read this piece because I am going to speak specifically to a situation that have happened in my life that occurred. And I don't want this to be anything but an empowering experience for people. All right. That is why I wrote it as an empowering experience for myself and to help others hopefully acknowledge their strength in their story. Um, so the chapter that I'm reading tonight is chapter 6 called Prepare for Impact. And this is kind of what I called part two of the book called When Life Hits Hard. So I just want to read the focus of part two. So the focus was navigating moments of loss, illness, trauma, and exhaustion, and learning how to rebuild when life breaks you open. Okay, so this chapter is a little bit longer. I'm not going to interrupt throughout it. I'm just going to read through. I hope that you enjoy it. If you are reading along with me or reading it afterwards at any time, please interact with me, share your thoughts, your experiences, your story. I'd love to hear them. Um, I really do want this to be a larger conversation about all of these subjects, but all of these topics. Okay, so here we go. Chapter 6, Prepare for Impact. When life knocks you sideways. I still remember the moment everything changed. One minute, life was predictable, manageable even. I had my routines, my plans, my assumptions about what the next few months or years look like. And then, without warning, the ground beneath me shifted. Maybe you've had a moment like that too. A phone call that changed everything, a sudden financial hit that you weren't ready for, a health scare, a betrayal, a loss so deep that it knocked the wind out of you. In those moments, everything slows down. You find yourself standing in the wreckage of what you thought was solid ground, realizing just how unprepared you really are. You really were. And it's not just about logistics, the practical side of things. It's about the mental and emotional resilience, about whether you have the strength to weather the storm without it breaking you completely. I used to think I'd figure things out when I needed to. that I was strong enough, smart enough, and resourceful enough to handle whatever life threw my way. These are all fantastic beliefs that I do still support. Sorry, that still do support you, but beliefs alone are not enough. Then life threw something bigger, something I couldn't think my way out of, work my way through, or push past with sheer willpower. And that's when I learned the hard truth. When a crisis hits, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your preparation. Why we don't prepare until it's too late. The funny thing about life is that we all assume we'll always have more time to save money, more time to build a support system, more time to take care of ourselves. But then out of nowhere, we run out of time. Nobody likes to think about worst case scenarios. We convince ourselves that we'll handle it when we need to, that preparation is for people who expect bad things to happen. I was so convinced of that, that when people told me all of these things they prepared for, I was like, but you're manifesting the worst case scenario. I always thought that it just stopped me, or maybe that was my best excuse to stop me from preparing. I used to tell myself that too. And then one day I wasn't prepared. I remember one evening sitting on the floor in a friend's house after returning from one of the most traumatic experiences I've ever had, being sexually assaulted at a bush party by a teenage guy I did not previously know. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know who to call. I didn't even know what to do next. I just sat there, numb, feeling like I was drowning. I felt my self image cracking. Who I was and what I thought about myself, my safety, my body, and my worth changed without my permission, and it scared me. I don't want that for you. I don't want you to be standing in the middle of a crisis, wishing you had taken time to build something solid before the storm hit. I was only 16 years old, and I fully understand that this is an aged age is a this age is a time of huge change and self-discovery. And I also know that what I experienced and what I learned can help others of all ages. Because here's the truth. You can't predict when life will test you, but you can prepare for it. The unseen safety nets that keep you standing. People often think of preparation as something practical. Money in the bank, an emergency plan, a backup strategy. And yes, those things matter. But what really makes or breaks you isn't just the external preparation. It's what's inside of you. It's the mental habits you've built, the emotional reserves you've strengthened, the beliefs, values, and character you live by, the people you've surrounded yourself with. It's the healthy self image you craft and protect with care. It's whether you've trained yourself to reach out before you hit the breaking point, or whether you're someone who waits until they're completely underwater to admit they need help. I've been both of those people. I've been the person who ignored all of my body's SOS signs, convinced I could handle it alone. And I've been the person who finally, reluctantly admitted that I needed support and realized that having a strong foundation before a crisis makes all the difference. How to build resilience before you need it. There's a reason pilots train for emergency landings before they ever fly a plane. When things go wrong, panic isn't an option. It's not because they expect an emergency to happen, it's because they build confidence by preparing for everything. They must rely on what they already know, on the instincts and the training that have been drilled into them. Life works the same way. If you wait until everything falls apart to figure out how to cope, it's like going to be it's likely going to be much more challenging than it needed to be. Strengthen your mental and emotional foundation. Resilience isn't about being tough. It's about being steady. It's about knowing yourself well enough to recognize when you're struggling before you crash. Do you know what triggers your stress responses? Do you freeze, lash out, shut down? Have you built emotional regulation habits, things that help you stay grounded when life gets overwhelming? For a long time, I thought the best way to handle stress was to talk it out with friends, family, anyone who would listen. I thought that if I could just get my thoughts out of my head, I would find some relief. I believed everyone else knew better than me, but instead I found the opposite. The more I talked, the more drained I felt. I replayed my worries over and over, hearing different opinions, soaking up different people's anxieties on top of my own. Instead of feeling lighter, I felt more overwhelmed. I learned the hard way that not everyone needs to hear my struggles for me to heal from them. In fact, the more I searched for external validations or solutions, the further I drifted from my own clarity. There were times I literally wished I could hit the brakes or rewind time and untell everyone about the thing I was already ready to move on from. What I really needed wasn't more noise, I needed stillness. I needed to turn inward and trust myself as my best resource for peace. And for me, that stillness isn't just about finding inner calm, it's also a sacred moment. Regardless of your spiritual beliefs, I see this as my time with God, a higher power, or simply the wisdom within. It's time to release the weight of the world from my shoulders and surrender what I can't control. That power is always there waiting for us in prayer, meditation, or even the simple act of breathing. All we have to do is be still enough to listen. Inhale, exhale, slow it down. That is some of the best advice I received actually from my father when I was going through a really difficult time. Is that he said, "You're trying to hold all of the world's problems when they were never yours to hold. So you need to give up, release that weight, hand it over to a higher power." It was really powerful. When grief is invisible, grief isn't always loud or visible. Sometimes it hides beneath the surface, disguised as exhaustion, irritability, or numbness. I experienced this kind of grief after being assaulted. I confided in a select few, but it felt like they expected me to simply move on. Later, when I began doing deeper healing work and eventually spoke publicly about my experience, some of those same people reached out, now as adults, to say they didn't realize how deeply I was affected. This kind of grief is disorienting, because it feels like you should still know yourself, but you don't. You're standing in the ruins of your old life, trying to piece together who you are now. What made it harder was that the loss wasn't just of safety, it was of identity. I had to let go of who I was before the trauma and begin the slow, painful work of becoming someone new. Build a support system that actually supports you. Here's something people don't talk about enough. Not everyone in your life is equipped to hold space for you in a crisis. I'm going to read that again. I think that's really powerful to acknowledge. Not everyone in your life is equipped to hold space for you in a crisis. Some people mean well, but they'll overwhelm you with their own fears or dismiss what you're going through. Some people won't be able to handle seeing you struggle, not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to. And then there are the ones who show up, the ones who say, "I'm here," and they mean it. You don't find those people in the middle of a breakdown. You find them before. You build those relationships when things are good, so when things are bad, you don't have to wonder who to call. Ask yourself, who are the people I trust with my hardest moments? Who drains me instead of supporting me? Am I surrounding myself with people who make me feel safe or just people who are convenient? And if you don't have a support system yet, that's totally okay because this is probably your sign. Start building it now. Reach out. Check in with people before you need something from them. Be the kind of friend you hope to have. I often hear people say, my circle of friends are the same people I've known forever, since high school, elementary school, or university. I feel like I've outgrown them or I don't feel as connected anymore, but we've been friends for so long, I don't know what to do. You'd be amazed at how often this comes up. I just have to yell at my family for one moment. Hope that mute button held. Okay, here's the truth. When you start focusing on what you want from your relationships and show up in alignment with those values, you'll naturally attract the people who match that energy. And without drama or fallout, some of the others will simply fade out of your life because they no longer align with who you're becoming. The reason I put this in there is that I think people imagine that there has to be some big talk about like a breakup or some discussion, but it doesn't have to be like that. Just you getting clear on what you want and what kind of friends you need in your life and that you're choosing, just making that decision, you'll find that some of the people just kind of stop being around. It's an energy that you're putting out. Uh, yeah, sometimes it doesn't even require a conversation, but when it does, is about clearly communicating what you want from the relationship and giving the other person the opportunity to either meet you there or respectfully step away. Avoiding these conversations only makes them scarier than they need to be. Remember, you must keep the faith that your people are out there, ready and waiting to meet you. The people you already know don't automatically become your people by default. They must earn access to you. You are worthy of those standards, and so are they. Create a practical safety net, create practical safety nets or trampolines. Emotional resilience is huge, but let's not ignore the real world side of things. Stress hits a lot harder when you're also dealing with financial instability, health scares, or a complete lack of work life balance. Financial resilience. Even understanding your finances and being intentional about how to use them as a tool for the future can keep one crisis from turning into a complete disaster. Health resilience. Listen to your body. Don't ignore your internal maintenance signals. Take care of your mind, body, and soul for the future you. Time and energy resilience. If you're constantly running on empty, you won't have anything left when life throws something big at you. I've heard many people say, "Kate, if one thing goes wrong, I'm screwed." That is no way to live. Constantly juggling, knowing that if one ball drops, everything might come crashing down. That kind of pressure isn't just exhausting, it's actively draining your resilience. Now is the time to build your backup plans, your soft landings, your personal trampoline. So when life throws you off balance, you bounce back instead of hitting the ground. Final thoughts. You are stronger when you are prepared. I don't want you crumbling and cracking apart like I was. I don't want you to find yourself in a moment of crisis scrambling, wishing you had thought about these things before everything fell apart. The best time to build resilience was years ago. The second best time is today. So ask yourself, where am I unprepared? Where can I start? Because life is unpredictable, but you don't have to, yeah. So ask yourself where to start because life is unpredictable. but you don't have to be unprepared for it. And when the time comes, when life hits hard, when the storm arrives, you won't just survive. You'll be ready, and you will notice the difference in the impact. You may even become the helper, the shoulder to lean on, the incredible support system for those who depend on you, and you'll be able to do it with ease. Reflection prompts. Okay, these are something that I do at the end of every chapter, giving you some thoughts. It's kind of one of my gifts, I would say. If you talk to people who I work with, some of the reflection questions I'll ask them has them thinking about things in a different light. This sometimes helps them find the answer they've been looking for. But regardless if this is a new exercise for you, take some time, especially with this reading version, this live version, pause it after each question and do some journaling for yourself. Put on some soft music, get in a quiet space where you can focus. Spend a couple minutes. You never know what could come up for you. Okay, so there's 5 reflection prompts, emergency drills for real life. Just like fire drills we practiced in school, it's helpful to mentally prepare for potential challenges before they happen. Take a moment to reflect on the following. 1. Build your own emergency resilience drill by thinking of a past emergency or a current fear, whether it's related to money, relationships, or your career. What would your response plan look like if something similar happened? Number 2, what can you do today to strengthen your confidence and readiness in that area? What can you do in advance? 3, where in life are you relying too heavily on the belief, I'll handle it when I have to? 4, who is part of your support system? And is there anyone you may need to let go of or intentionally invite in? 5, what is one practical area, finance, health, time, where you could be building a stronger safety net right now? Okay, that is the end of chapter 6. I should have said this at the beginning. The book that I'm sharing, my book, You're Strong Enough for This, and it's still blurry. A real world guide to building resilience and becoming who you were meant to be. Thank you for letting me share my story. Thank you for taking the time to read it or listen to it. That in itself is such a gift to me. Um, I do hope that by reading this, you might find your own voice or hear your own stories and find some opportunities to build your own resilience, to prepare for impact in an empowering way, in a way that isn't about fear, but is about a way of getting ahead of things to make sure that you're preparing for your future you. You know, I always love the expression, do something today that your future you will thank you for. That means get on top of your shit, get on top of your health, get on top of your wealth, get on top of your relationships, all of those things. When you give them the proper care and attention, you are helping future you. You are laying the groundwork to ensure that that person has an easier time responding when life happens because you've already done the upfront work. All right. I am going to toggle over here. Oh, hi. Gia's there too. Perfect. Yep. Gia's always available to answer any questions. My right-hand woman. Thank you for being on, Gia. All right. I went a little bit over today, but that was a longer chapter. If you haven't got your hands on a copy of this book yet, it is on Amazon. You're Strong Enough for This by Kate Hansen. I hope you will grab a copy of this. If there's somebody that you know, somebody in your life who is being challenged right now, they're going through one of those inflection points in their life, one of those difficult, trying times, and you don't know what to do to be a supporter, helps them, get them this book. All right. Get them this book as a support, as a love letter to them and their strongest self. All right, that's all I have for tonight. Much love, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Thank you for joining me. If you watch this at a later time, thank you for watching the replay. I appreciate you. We are always here reach out anytime. Take care.